Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody. This is Jeff Sims. We're here for the March 1st edition of the Technical Advisory Committee meeting. So hope everybody is doing well. And we will start the normal process by asking if there's any members of the public that would like to provide comment. At this point, I'll give a couple seconds for you to chime in and also mention that if you want to acknowledge it either by raising hand or putting a message in the chat box, we'll check that too also just to make sure if anybody has something to say, we're giving them your chance. Okay, hearing nothing, and I see nothing in the chat box, I will assume that there's no public comment today. So we will move on. We do not have a formal quorum, so that's why we are able to meet virtually. Hopefully in the next month, I'd like to ask everybody to, move forward so we can have this enough people present at the downtown formal office so we can get these logistical things done. But for today, we don't have any action items, but we will have discussion on anybody related to the minutes. So hopefully everybody's seen the minutes from February, and please speak forward if you have any comments on this. Okay, hearing nothing, then we can officially vote to have them approved, but we'll do that at a later date. But everybody's had their chance to speak. So we will now move into—
Mr. Chair?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, this is the clerk's office. Would we be able to do a roll call?
Sure.
Members are here?
Sure, we can do that. I think normally the MPO staff handles calling of the roll. Is that correct?
Typically, but I could call it in this case.
That's perfectly good with me. So lead on.
Okay. I'm just going to go down the list. Jay Collins?
Present.
Danny Jorgensen?
Here.
Julie Ham?
Mark Hudson is attending as our alternate.
Thank you. Jonathan Scott?
Right here. How are you guys doing?
Nicole McCleary?
Present.
Tony Garcia?
What was that name again?
Tony Garcia? Or Melissa Leinhardt? Jeff Sims?
Here.
Mike Williams?
I'm here.
Gina Evans?
Danny Valentine filling in for Gina today.
Thank you. Leland Dickus?
Dickus, yes.
Or John Patrick? Or Dickus, sorry about that. Bob Bray?
Here, present.
Anna Canones?
Hi, also here.
Thank you. Amber Dickerson?
Hi, this is Matt Pleasant, attending for the school district in place of Amber.
Thank you. Troy Tench?
I'm here.
Brian Passaro?
Here.
And then Michael English?
I'm present.
And Nicole Sutton?
Present.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate everybody for attending. It seems like we have a pretty high overall percentage of companies and everybody represented, so thanks for being on board today. So I'm about to start the first one. I know everybody's familiar with this by now, doing all the virtual meetings, but if you're not actively presenting, let's keep your videos off and your audio off. Sometimes that helps with some of the presenting materials and so forth. So with that, I believe we're going to hand it over to Hart for the Flamingo Fairs.
Hi, good afternoon, Sheriff. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Sheriff Sims and members of the committee. My name is Santini. I'm the director of the Project Management Office, interim CFO, and I'm going to give you an update on the Flamingo Fairs project. It's basically a high-level overview for the Flamingo Fairs and the components and the critical items that we've just recently changed. So with that, I'm having a hard time seeing that. Gino, I'm seeing 2 slides at once. Is that correct?
So you can see the first slide and then the next one that you're about to present.
There we go.
Okay.
Whatever you
Okay,
did,
perfect.
full slide.
Is that better now?
That's better. If you can go to the next slide, please.
Let's see if I can. Oops, I think it's going to go faster. Is that the next slide?
There you go.
Okay,
You got
perfect.
it. That's perfect. So what I'm going to walk you through for the agenda is the basic Flamingo Fair system, the benefits that it has to offer, the features with the distribution network, the support system, the timelines, the project expenses, to understand the contributions from the different agencies, as well as the functions by phase, the tremendous Tableau dashboard, which is our reporting feature, our Title VI compliance, and our marketing and communication. Please. So when we refer to Flamingo, it's the brand name for the regional fare collection system. It includes the card, which you'll see on the far left. It's the contactless smart card. It's an account-based system, so the value is not on the card, it's on the account that's held in the back office. It's the mobile app, the smart mobile app that you can use Apple or Android. And it's also going to have the future ability for new ways to pay. So that will include Apple Watches, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and any other type of new payment system that will be a secure system that will also be accepted at the validator. Next, please. So let's talk about the Flamingo app first, the smartphone application. Right now, everything is up and operational. You can go to the website and you can download the Flamingo Fairs Google and Apple Store, either way, whatever phone that you use, or you can get the smart card. So currently, the smart card is available at services centers. It's a one-time $3 cost for a new card and replacement cost in case they're lost. But again, your balance is protected even if your card is lost, as long as it's registered. Next, please. So who are our partners and where is Flamingo installed? The core group is Hernando, which is the boss, Hart, obviously, Pasco, PCPT, Pinellas, PSTA, and the Jolly Trolley, and Sarasota, SCAT are all our current partners. Next, please. So what are some of the benefits? The fare capping. In the past, you had to be able to afford a monthly pass to reap the benefit of the fare capping to max out your monthly value. So what this does is this allows someone that's not available to pay that upfront cost, but they can still reap the benefit. So what will happen is as long as you have the same card, you won't pay more than $4 a day. It'll cap you out per day, or the $65 per month. So a lot of folks have never been able to afford that. Unfortunately, they pay day to day, but if they have the card, they'll be maxed out at $65 per month, and they won't pay for the rest of the month. So one card, one region, you'll be able to travel to all the locations I just mentioned. The balance protection, the money stays on your account even if you change phones, you lose your card or it's damaged, or and you'll have online or in-store access to your account at all times. We also have the Ivr System, which I'll get into a little bit later, but it's a durable, long-term plastic smart card. It's going to help us for one is contactless payment, especially in the time of COVID. Money does not have to exchange hands. Everything, you bring it close to the validator. When we say tap, it's really not, you don't even have to hit the machine in order for it to tap. You don't have to carry exact change, and you can buy in advance, so it definitely helps us with boarding time. Next, please. So we went to the board to get the introduction for the fare structure change. We went to the December board. So concurrently, right now, we have our existing fare structure and we have the new Streamline Flamingo fare structure. Because you're not necessarily on Flamingo, you're not necessarily buying a day pass, you're loading funds to your card. So it's helped us streamline our fare structure. So right now, up and operational, like I mentioned, is the card plus the app. We are going to discontinue the magnetic strip paper. They don't work very well. If they just even get a couple of drops of water on them, they're really hard to read. If it gets crinkled, it's really difficult, and they're not very secure. So we're slowly trying to transition folks over to the smart card, which does have that initial fee of $3, but you get the monthly and daily capping. If you do want to go online to register your card, your minimum load is going to be $5. That's for the app, the website, and the retail stores. And we'll get more into the retail store sales in a second. Next, please. So discounted fares. For our that already qualify for discounted fares, this isn't any different. It will, instead of having them have two forms of identification, they usually have to carry their ticket plus their identification card. What we're doing is that as folks come into the customer service area and they register for their discount, program, that we're taking their picture right there. It's on their card, and they just need to keep that card with them. So it simplifies and streamlines for the folks that do use our discount. Next, please. Distribution network currently. Right now, we have the transit centers. You can purchase and register at our transit centers, which is MTC, UATC, and Ivr if you wanted to stop by Ivr. We have the Flamingo app, which is up and operational. We have the institutional corporate portal, and the institutional is more like for USF or UT or HCC. And basically what that allows is that allows them to onboard all their students at the beginning of the year. It also helps with folks like Lighthouse for the Blind and any of the other institutional partners that we currently have, and future partners be able to control the use of this program by themselves. They don't necessarily have to go through a heart rep to be able to set up their accounts, add, delete, change different people in the program. Also, our customer website is up and operational. We are in the process of testing our retail network. So right now we have 25 retail stores. They're mostly the smaller ones. They're the mom and pop stores. And we're doing online testing, validation testing right now to make sure that those are up and operational. Roll this out, you're going to see it's rolling out in phases. But what will happen is, especially for this retail network, we're going to have a couple hundred locations, the usual like Amscot and such. But you'll also have You'll also have Publix and CVS, many different, when you go into a store and you see the J-hooks and you go in and you want to buy something for Olive Garden or for Wendy's and you're looking for a gift card, these will be at those same locations. The Ivr system one thing, and that's very similar to your banking IVR. So you can call in someone that might not be tech savvy, that doesn't necessarily want to get on the phone and check their balances, but they still want to have access to their account. They can call in, they can put in their account number, and they can see their balances. They can see their last however many transactions that they want recorded. So they can have quick access to their information without necessarily going through a customer service rep. Next, please. So the Flamingo system. So it's pretty expensive. It doesn't seem like it should be that complicated, but it really kind of is. Internally, we have our operations department, we have our technology department, we have the project management office. Then marketing is, you're going to see some really cool stuff. They're doing some bus wraps and some bus stop wraps to get the word. Right now, since we're in that transition for the next six months, we're really trying to reach out to the public with kind of a learning process. What is it? How do you use it? You know, where can you replenish your funds at? So we have our marketing department, which is doing a pretty heavy lift recently. We have our external vendors. In it is the main contractor. Clever Consulting is our expert, and the regional group, which is the regional partners like I had mentioned before. Next, please. So we get this question a lot. Why on earth has it taken so long? So a typical project like this takes 3 to 5 years. Some of the larger agencies are closer to 10. We're right in line. We're 4, right behind Portland. Right, took us a little longer than Portland and Grand Rapids, but Grand Rapids is a single system. Even the Portland Tri-Med area was rail and their bus. In our case, because we have our regional partners, every fare structure had to be validated, and everybody has a different fare structure. So it did take us just a little bit longer. We were going to go live exactly time last year, and unfortunately COVID hit. So not knowing how routes were going to change and everything was kind of in the air, we didn't do a full-blown marketing campaign, but we were able to system up and operational, feel comfortable with operating it as it operated behind the scenes. Now you're going to see a heavy push from our marketing department to be able to get that adoption rate up and moving ahead. Next, please. So it's been HART and PSTA that has carried the majority of the expense. It's a $12 million project. Approximately $8.9 million has been spent to date. You can see it's HART's share from HART federal, state, and cash, as well as PSTA and TBARDA also contributed since it had a regional perspective to it. Next, please. So, like we said, you know, we have the extended use cards for consumer, for institutional. We have the web portal. Our phase 2 begins probably around May or June. It's going to have a lot more features for institutional, as well as our web portal for institutional. Retail network, full implementation will be later in the spring, summer timeframe. The open payments, we're looking at the end of the summer, beginning of fall. And then we just have some enhancement features on here as far as mobile app institutional and the temporary use smart cards. Next, please. You might have to hit it a couple times. There you go. The metrics is really cool. We could see where the card is being used. We can track how many people have downloaded it. Although there is no personal information in here, it's just route information. It's a tremendous amount of data that we didn't have before. Marketing can use this to say, okay, this area has a good working group right now. However, this area needs more attention. Maybe it's public outreach. Maybe it's just more marketing to introduce. But we carry a lot of metrics on this. And if you click one more time, I think you'll get another slide on top of that. and it shows our adoption. It shows our adoption rate for both the mobile app. This is without any advertisement. So it shows our usage, drill down as far as we need to go to get that metric for both our mobile phone, our card use. Next, please. So with that said, we're very aware. We've reached out to our Title VI to make sure we've done a complete Title VI analysis, public engagement. We're incorporating a lot of comments that we had, mitigation strategies, and always looking to analyze and improve. But we really want the adoption rate for folks across the board, for our customers, because it is a much easier. And we feel that we have to explain the fare capping so that people clearly understand that they will be saving money by using the card. And our marketing group is going crazy, so it's really good stuff. Helping folks understand, like I said, you'll see it in retail stores, you'll see it on bus wraps. We're handing out some pamphlets. You'll see signage in our bus shelters. So we're trying to get the word out there. And that's it. So I'll take any questions that someone might have.
Okay, thanks, Linda. That was very comprehensive, exciting stuff. Do we have any comments from any members of the committee?
Hey, Linda, this is Matt with the school system. I just want to vouch for the system. It works great. I was able to use it. One day I was scrounging around for dollar bills, trying to pay fare, and then the next day I could download an app and get on the bus, no problem. It's great. I'm not quite sure I understand the fare capping. And I was wondering if you could explain that again. Is that, is someone, if they needed to take, like 4 rides in a day, it's capped at a certain amount? Can you kind of explain how that works?
Sure. So you'll never, in Hillsborough, because TSDA is $1 more, but in Hillsborough, you'll never pay more than $4 a day. So, it's almost like a round trip. You have to take the bus 4 different times in the morning and 4 different times in the afternoon. You'll never pay more than $4 a day, and you'll never pay more than $65. If you're a full fare customer, you'll never pay more than $65 a month. So once you register the card, and you will be capped out. I want to say it's like on day 18. I can't remember off the top of my head. If every day, so the rest of the month you'll be riding for free. So it's to create equal access across the board for those who pay in advance as well as those that need to pay. So in both cases, you will on that fare capping.
Great. So you're scanning every time you get on the bus, but the app is able to tell you've already gotten on the bus today X number of times, so you're not charged again.
Right. You'll see it at the validator. The validator turns green, but you'll be maxed out. It's not collecting any more $4 total for the day. If you only need ride one way, $2, it will only take the $2. Once you hit it the second time, you will be capped out for the rest.
Okay, great. Hopefully that addressed it. Do we have any other comments? Well, I can say, Linda, from having sat on this board for many years now, I remember back in the days of there being a lot of criticism about how the technique of the fare box in buses was antiquated and that we needed to move forward and modernize. So it's exciting to see this project come to fruition. Now, I guess my only question now, since it's been rolled out, I know it was a soft rollout because of COVID, but what kind of responses have you been getting from your users so far?
So we did have a pilot group that, we were getting feedback. Some of the changes were just anomalies that they noticed on the website or, some improvements, but overall it's been positive. We really have not received any feedback. We did originally for our ADA folks, there was kind of a glitch between using your mobile app and using your card, but we remedied that, so that's seamless also. In order to qualify for the register, you do need to go to our customer service and register just like always. But once that, you have full unrestricted use to the mobile app as well as the card.
Okay, very good. And unless we have anybody else that wants to say anything, I'll give you another second or two. But with that, I think I will say thank you very much, and we appreciate your presentation today.
Sure, thanks.
Okay. All right, next item up is the in-road lighting. I'm very curious about this one. So we have Mr. Wow, I'll let you pronounce your name for me. I don't want to mess that one up.
Good move.
Maj will be just fine. I like life simple. Maj, M-A-J.
Okay, well, great. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and bring the presentation up. Can everyone see and hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the opportunity. What I'm going to talk about here today is about the potential safety solutions using in-road light. I'm a traffic engineer by trade, and I have been working with many municipalities throughout the state of Florida, especially with FDOT. And I'm happy to report to you that we are, as the state of Florida, is the first state in the country to have these products that I'm going to be sharing with you approved as a product to be used on streets and highways. As we all know, nighttime crashes is a major problem nationally. 52% of U.S. fatalities happen at nighttime. Here in the state of Florida, we have a major problem for us also at the same time. We have many pedestrian crashes and many roadway departure crashes. These numbers have been consistent over the years, and we haven't made a change over the years, and we're hoping to be able to find solutions to reduce those numbers. The local areas, we have major issues associated, obviously, with the pedestrian and bicyclists, the vulnerable users. Added to the fact that we have a distracted driving situation that we can't avoid, and we have inclement weather that we deal with on all the time. And we have a vision. Our vision is your vision, obviously, is to be able to use innovation to be able to save human lives. As you can see in the numbers below, these are real numbers. We spend $380 million a year on just medical costs, and $871 million a year as a country dealing with economical and social impacts associated with crashes. So it's an issue that is important to us to be able to deal with. These kind of crashes that we deal with most of the time are associated with these kind of behaviors like speeding, distracted, aging drivers, or impaired. And it has been a challenge for all of us to be able to figure out a solution to deal with it. But the fact is, we've always tried as engineers to be able to give the message to them. But I think we need to look at it from a different perspective. We need to look at it from the fact that we need to understand what the driver sees. That was what's important to us. That's the message that we need to reach out. And the fact is, as you see in this diagram, and it's documented by FHWA, is that at 30 miles per hour, that small circle is really the focus point. This is what the driver sees. This is where we need to communicate with the driver. In addition to the fact that is a perception and reaction time, at 35 miles per hour, a driver needs 250 feet to be able to stop. So we have to give them that message right there between the headlights and also give them enough time to react to it so they'll be able to stop in time. So we believe that conventional tools are not moving the needle. We need to explore new ways. We have to look for innovative ways. Innovation has to be self-educated. It has to be easy to install. And we are happy to state, as I mentioned before, these are approved products by FDOT and MUTCD. And we make these products here in the US, in Florida. So I would like to share with you many applications. The first application I would like to talk about is pedestrian safety. As you can see in this picture, like I mentioned before, this is what the driver sees. The signs, RFPs, signs to the side, it's there, but it's not enough for them to be able to see it. We need to be right there between the headlights. In addition to the fact that to give them enough time to react to it, so be able to see it in time. We developed two products. The one to the left in the picture, it is a pedestrian activated system that is wired system connected to the side, and then when the button is pushed, it will activate. The one to the right, it's a in-road lights that are only come at nighttime, and they highlight the crosswalk. So you can see double-sided white, so it will bring your attention to a crossing. That can be used at stop locations or signalized intersections for additional visibility. So there's a couple of videos here of two projects that we've done. The one up to the top is in Escambia County, and that was up in North Florida, and the one at the bottom is in Village of Palmetto Bay. One of them is activated with a highlighted sign, and the other one is activated with RRFP combination. Both those combinations are approved by FDOT to be used. And this is a highlighted, like I mentioned to you, it was done for development to be able to see the crosswalk. We have also a new concept that we introduced to central office, and we're working right now with FDOT, and we're going to be using it with Orange Blossom Road in District 5. It is the additional steady red as a tool to be able to go ahead and provide a message to the driver. This is going to be a signalized location, and also can be expanded to signalized intersections if needed for red light runners. This is one of the concepts that we are working with FDOT and FHWA for a request experiment right now. We've done numerous crosswalk systems throughout the state of Florida. I want to mention to you the Village of Palmetto Bay that was installed 2 years ago, and a system which is extremely important. It has been working as of today with 0 failures and 0 maintenance. The one in Escambia County that I mentioned to you, this saw in the video before, there were 5 systems with existing RRFPs. They couldn't have, they're right along the beach with a lot of crossings. We converted these to the combination that you saw with the highlighted signs and in-road lights. The options that we have for pedestrian applications, we have the Humps system, obviously RRFPs, raised crosswalks. And as you can see here, the cost and the time involved with those. And then we have the 3 options that I mentioned to you. One of them is the new system, and the other one is retrofitting an existing system. And then at the bottom is a highlighted crosswalk. These, all these systems, it shows the cost and the time involved to be able to implement. Bicycle safety is another concern for us. As you know, most of bicycle fatalities happen at nighttime. And we have tried, obviously, with many tools like painting green and other abilities. But if we have the bicyclists right next to the highways, as you can see in this picture, it will be extremely beneficial to have our in-road lights are activated at nighttime to highlight the bike lane. And you can envision a bike tail with a red light in between the 2 white lines, how easy it is for you to be able to see that bicycle from a distance. We have the ability to be able to use it for trails and other applications. The first bike lane that's going to take place is going to be here in Fort Lauderdale area, and the Broward County MPO approved 3.5 miles. So we're going to be starting on that project next year. That will highlight just like that picture I just showed you a moment ago. Another area of target for us is the roadway curvature at Humps roadway departure. This particular roadway over here is only like 30 miles per hour, but yet a lot of drivers kept going and hitting the guardrail, constant maintenance. As you can see in that picture, it even has street lights, all the tools, but yet it wasn't sufficient. Once we installed our in-road lights, it provided a great guidance for the driver. And as you can see, the placement of the lights are placed inside the travel way, and it creates an illusion to the driver that the road narrows, so they tend to slow down. This is one of the recent projects we've done with the Florida Turnpike. It made ITE magazines, and it is the first of its kind. This is on mile marker 166. It's a curve with numerous nighttime roadway departure crashes. So what the video I'm about to show you here, we are half a mile approaching that curve, and we are traveling at 70 miles per hour without the use of our headlights. So it's like a runway approaching that curve, and it's definitely created a great illumination of the roadway and provided a great safer environment for drivers to travel, especially as you can see, this is a very dark highway, and also inclement weather like a heavy rain. You can see those lights very, very effective. Another application we have, and we have been working with several areas in the state of Florida, is for wrong-way crashes. Wrong-way, as you can see, we have many ramps where you really can't tell the entrance from the exit ramp. And what we've done here is we're providing a mechanism where we're looking at it differently. Again, trying to go ahead and guide the driver by putting a gate of lights are placed in the area right next to the wrong-way signs, like as you can see in this picture over here. And it can be seen from 1,000 feet, so the driver will be able to distinguish between entrance and exit. So a distracted, an aging driver, or intoxicated driver, they're going to be able to see this. So they'll know that they'll be able to go in that area. So we don't have to wait until someone to go into the zone to activate a system. It's already in place. This is an urban, a rural highway with a large median. This particular project we installed for FDOT District 4, where an RV made a turn, and two girls coming from a concert lost their life head on in that particular 4-lane highway because it's so dark and it's a 4-lane facility. Other applications that we have done is roundabouts. Roundabouts are an amazing tool to reduce intersection crashes, but we have many roundabouts where people still can see them, and they're hitting structures in the middle. So we've done many roundabouts that really reduced impact on those structures. How many locations do we have where medians, islands that you really can see at nighttime? With this over here, we can highlight those approaches, and you can see them from a distance. Speed humps, it's constant maintenance for paint. As you can see in this picture here, you're going to be able to see those and be able to avoid that collision with them. We have numerous applications and this is, I'm just giving you a bird's eye view of potential that we can use. The technology that we have developed here is based on 6 years of learning in the field. It was a great cooperation effort from many municipalities because we wanted to be able to perfect the product. We understood the need for the units, but we need to get the technology to catch up. And the only way we can catch up is by putting it out there in the field and learning to improve. So this, after 6 years and a great cooperation from many municipalities, we have a product that meets all our needs. This product is replaceable in the field. The black that you see is a cup that stays in the pavement, and the light will be ejected for maintenance if needs to be. So it's a one-time installation. I'm going to show you the durability of the product. We worked with Ohio DOT on testing it for snow plowable, and this is the impact of snow plowable. This is after 10 minutes of installation. As you can see, even it sparks. That's how the impact. We hit it like 8 times. And we did our first project for the city of Cincinnati this past fall. So we're going through the first winter to see what feedback we are going to be getting. There are many studies that document the benefits of in-road lights as a safety tool, but I want to share with you some of the findings that we've experienced so far. The Florida Turnpike project that I shared with you, the speed was reduced by the percentage that you see here for anything over 70 miles per hour, which is a great benefit for us, obviously reducing speed. The second one, which is we did a project in an S-curve in Jacksonville area in District 2, and that also DOT did a presentation on that project. The 5 years before we installed the lights, there were 56 total nighttime crashes. The 2 years after we installed the light, we had 1 nighttime crash. So we are onto something that I think is going to be able to meet our objectives here. We have many letters of recommendations from many cities and associations And of course, FDOT is our biggest client, and they are also, as you can see, in favor of that. That's why they spoke about us. Bicycle associations love the concept, and definitely provides great protection for them. And as you can see, our lights are flush, so they're very, very comfortable when they are riding on the lights. We are on the FDOT APL for all our products, and we are on the statewide contract, and we also have other contracts with cities for piggyback contracts. Installation was very important because we knew that that's another challenge for contractors, because we want to make sure that the cost is going to be effective. We developed this drilling machine that will be able to, as you can see in that picture here, drilling the hole. This is actual live, so within 30 seconds, the hole is drilled. The person behind is cleaning. The person after that putting the epoxy material, and then the light is placed. So the epoxy is, the epoxy is a two-part epoxy, and it is a great epoxy which is protects the pavement. It is the same epoxy used for snow plowable RPMs. The light is placed and moved. You have 10 minutes to be able to work with it, and then within 15 minutes, you can drive on it. It's ready to go. Maintenance. This is part of the improvements that be able to get us to be able to maintain the units. We use an air compressor to be able to eject the unit out. It can be vandalized. It's very hard to be picked up by any tools, but you really have to have an air compressor to be able to push it out. The way we see it is that it is time for us as a state, and it is time for Hillsborough County to be able to look at this innovative tools to be to reduce many of the roadway crashes and many options that we can be helpful to be able to reach our goal of reaching road zero, because our goal is your goal. And with that, I will answer any questions.
Okay, very, very interesting, especially for me. That's something I find fascinating. So as always, and I have a comment or two, but I'll open it up to the committee if they have any comments first. Okay, well, while you're thinking about it, I can tell you that I wrote down several items that after having read the pre-write-up on it, and you addressed most of them. And a lot of it had to do with the installation and durability. I mean, beyond the science. I mean, I'm looking at I think some of the facts you threw out with the reduction in crashes is really telling and really exciting, and for Vision Zero purposes. The engineer side of me was more curious about the installation and the durability. The snowplow video was certainly one that is a smart one to show it. I'd be a little concerned about, or I question maybe how long. I realize most of them are designed for kind of designating right-of-ways and sideways, but the ones like on crosswalks that might actually be located where vehicle tires are hitting them all the time, that they might have a quicker breakdown. But it sounds like you've really done your homework. You even addressed theft and vandalism, because I wondered about how easy they would be a target for people to have them removed, and that was very smart. If it truly needs an air compressor, I think that'll cut down on a lot of people in that regard. So I guess with that, do you have any other things to add about, have you done studies with repetitive vehicle motion over certain ones to see what kind of breakdown they've had?
I can share a video with you. We have like the Palmetto Road project that I showed you at that time. We have some of the lights, because we place some of the lights facing the driver for the crosswalk, and there are some of them are facing the pedestrian, because we need the pedestrians to also pay attention. So one light is, for example, was in the wheel path of the vehicle at all times. They hit it all the time. And this particular road, it's a 40,000 vehicles per day that goes through it. So in essence, 20,000 cars are hitting it all day long. And that's for 2 years. And the light is totally intact, and that's just the biggest proof. The speed limit is about 35 miles per hour. That's typically what's there. Another condition we have in the wrong way application that I showed you, This is on a highway in State Road 70. It's in Fort Pierce area, and there's orange groves. So the wrong way application, the lights are placed across each lane. There's 5 per lane. And we have orange grove trucks driving on them at 70 miles per hour, hitting them. So these lights are also intact. So these 2 examples really provides a clear indication to us that we're on the right path of having units that are really stable. Reliability, there is no doubt, speaking as an engineer, reliability has been the issue. The idea of in-road lights as a safety tool has been totally welcomed for 20 years. Reliability has been the key. And also, like you mentioned, Jeff, the ease of installation was critical because I've been as an engineer before where we introduced like the metric system and contractors immediately said, this is too much. So we have to make sure that we have something that's going to be easy to install. So that's, having said that, the reliability, that has been the key for us to get to the point where we have something very effective. Now for the crosswalk system, which is I didn't mention, which is extremely important, we have our lights are placed in a flexible conduit. Other existing system, the lights are placed where they're connected with a wire between each light, and they're embedded in the pavement just like loops. So if there is a problem with any of the wires, the whole system is dead. With us, we have a flexible conduit, and the wire is placed inside the flexible conduit between the lights. So if there's any problem with the wires or anything like that, you don't have to come back and open the road. You can just fix that wire very easily. And it's also protected better from the asphalt. So that was also another success story for us to have a reliable, because reliability is the key. It's very important to all of us. Otherwise, we're providing a solution that is not going to be effective, because if you have to maintain it, then we're wasting time. That it has to be very, very important. They go hand in hand.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for that. Mike, do you have a comment? I think
Let me get off of mute there. Thank you. Just a couple questions, really. So I was really glad to hear you say you're on the APL, because that's really important for us to, before we start using new products. And this is for Hillsborough County. The specifications and the specs for all of this, is this in the DOT spec book, or where does that stand now with DOT as far as specs go for this product?
Yeah, we have 2 specifications. 706 for the DOT, it's for RPMs. And then as I mentioned, it's been a process for 6 years. So when we first started, we were on the innovative product list. Then we came to a developmental. Right now, we are in the standard spec. So in section 706, there's class F, eliminated race payment markers. So it is in the standard specs as a standard product, and that's why it's the statewide APL. And for the crosswalks, it's already been in place before. So that 654 index standard specification 654 is already in place. But 706 is a new one that we created, and that's why I said we are the state of Florida, are the first state in the country to do this. So we are as this is a collective effort, and we are the first state to have that. So we are the pioneer state right now for this application.
Very good. And then just one other kind of statement, maybe / question. I was really glad to hear you talk about reliability, because our experience has been with devices, and not necessarily lights, what you're talking about, but devices that are embedded in pavement. Just the heat just destroys them. And so I guess maybe the question is, what is the expected life of this product if we were to put a bunch of them down? And obviously Florida, we have a lot of heat, and so what would be the lifespan we would anticipate these to reliably work?
Yeah. First of all, I can talk about warranty. So we have 2 types of warranties for the product. We have a 2-year warranty, and we have a 5-year warranty for the same product. The only difference is the price structure for the 5-year warranty that we're taking. So and it's not like double the price; it's 50% for the price. DOT, in terms of the elements of heat is an issue, but you know what the main issue of failures that we've learned? It's moisture. Because when moisture gets there, you're putting moistures and electronics together, and there's no way they are going. This is where the failure is. And what we've done is that we created a one-piece module. I don't know if you can see this here. This one-piece module. Can you see me at all, or no? No, you can't see the camera because I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah. That's. Can you see me now, or? Maybe, okay, but the fact no worries. The most important part is we made that one piece. It is a one piece that's really sits in water with no problems. Here you go. I get that over here. So this is the that one piece. Can you see it now, Michael?
I see the lion.
Yeah, that's like it doesn't matter. But we were working with Central Florida Expressway Authority, CFX, and the person in charge took one of our lights and he had it in his pool for a month, sitting at 4 or 5 feet. I don't know what it was at that time, and he was just shocked how it's even not it's all working, but actually it's charging and discharging normally at nighttime. So that's because the issue of is that, and it's not like a major moisture, just like a little bit of moisture can get into the units, and over time it will become a problem. So the separation and the isolation of the unit from the moisture is really what we have improved on. So that's where there's a great success of having the reliability of the unit available.
Perfect. And if we wanted to bid this or install some of these, a couple questions, I guess. First, you know, is this a sole source item, or and I'm not trying to, you know, get away from your product because it sounds like a very good product, but is it a sole source? And then the installation, is this installed by a roadway contractor, or do they have to hire, say, your company to come do the installation of these?
Right now, we are the only approved company in the state of Florida. So it's a sole source. And on the APL, you have a sole source product to purchase directly. The price is already set, and I can send you that like, for example, the Turnpike, they just buy directly how many units, and that's the price is already set in the contract. We have also in the statewide contract, we established a price for installation, where our objective is that we did not want to take into the installation. We're a manufacturer of the product, but we knew that we are going to come to a situation because when one of the first projects we've done was up in Pensacola, and then the contractor charged 6 times for installation. That's what we are hoping to do that. And we knew that's going to be a problem for all of us because it's going to be expensive. We're not going to be able to reach our goal here. We're looking at volume, and that's why we kept the price as low as possible to be able to look at, that's our objective here. So the price is set for installation. Now, we are trying to train new contractors to be able to take over and to invest, but it's only going to be taking place for a contractor point of view once there is sufficient project to be able to go ahead and start setting themselves up. And we're starting the process, but most contractors right now, they come into us and they say, you do it. So this is not really what we want, but right now it is important for us to make sure that installation is done right, because if it's not done right, we're not going to have a good product. It's not going to work. It's a dominoes effect. So we're in the process of transition. So many agencies right now coming in for turnkey. This is my project over here. The price is already set in the APL, and they will come in, and this is legal to buy it because it's already in the statewide APL contract. And you come in and you say, okay, here are many units, come and install it for me. And that's what's been happening for us on many of the projects right now. We're hoping that as we grow and there's more, we will have like people in Hillsborough County who will be trained, certified, and set up to do the installations, and they will be right there, and we will be making the products and giving it to them. That's our goal, is to have installation team in Hillsborough County. But that's first, we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing by having the right product and the right installation, and make sure that the price is right, not being gouged and not being, unreasonable. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Gina?
Yeah, just really quickly, because we have several other presentations and they're going a little bit long, but I really wanted to just thank Maj, and I'm really engaged in that conversation that Mike was having with him, because as planners, we think this is just a great tool for the toolbox of Vision Zero and reducing crashes and serious crashes and fatalities. But hearing, all that really goes into even considering this kind of thing, and I loved hearing Mike's questions, because solving those will really get this to be applied, no matter all of our visionary planning ideas. So I just want to thank that presentation, and it's right in line with what I hope to be doing in Vision Zero. So thank you.
Gina, can I get a
Thank you. Real quick. I'm sorry.
Who's that, Bob?
Yeah, can I get a clarification real quick? This is not being installed anywhere. This was just a vendor presentation. I must have missed that.
Oh, it's been installed all over Florida, but he was told me about it. So Mike will talk about it here.
He's not here representing a Hillsborough MPO project that's happening in our jurisdiction or something. No. It's a vendor just coming in. Okay, thank you. I just clarification on that.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Gina and Jeff and Michael, very much, and on everyone here, because no matter what side of the fence, we are a team. We're together. We all have a role. And as a traffic engineer, my role is to be able to open the eyes to save lives, and that's our goal, no matter where we are. And I really appreciate you allowing the opportunity very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maj.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next up is the Hillsborough County School Route Program Development Process and SRTS projects. Diana Ramirez. Diana, are you there? Hey, oh, I see. Are you muted? I see you, but I don't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Ah, there we go.
Awesome. Thank you, whoever unmuted me. Thanks. Okay, I'm going to turn off the camera so I don't eat the bandwidth while I'm in the presentation. Let me see. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Diana Ramirez, and I'm with Hillsborough County Public Works. It takes a village to raise a child. Most of us are familiar with this old saying. However, my question for you today is, what is going to take to keep children safe when they walk or roll to school along our Hillsborough County roads? Please ponder on this question while we progress through the presentation. Today, I'm going to share with you information that will provide a picture of what we at Hillsborough County are doing to improve safety for school for our students. Let's see. This is the outline of what I'm going to be sharing with you today. What prompted the need to revamp the school route safety program? What is and how was the prioritization methodology done? And what is and how was the project process done? And finally, what are the next steps? What prompted the need to revamp the school route safety program? As some of you already know, the county has a system to receive and manage customer requests. For a school safety request, the process has been mostly a responsive one. This means that every time the county receives a request related to student safety, the county investigates and, when feasible, implements improvements as soon as possible to resolve the issue. The community requests for student safety needs have considerably, but really considerably increased since two policies changes were implemented. The first change was in 2017, when courtesy busing was removed for all students that no longer met the hazardous walking conditions within the 2-mile walking distance as defined by Florida statute. And the second one was in 2018 when new belt changes were implemented. Why are these two changes so significant, and why did they cause such a considerable increase on safety concerns reported to the county? As it can be expected, reducing the courtesy busing service increased the number of students who walk to school, and the belt time changes resulted in elementary students having to walk to school during those hours in wintertime. And not only elementary students were affected, this also impacted middle and high school students who walk to school early for breakfast or other needs. After these two changes took effect, it was very evident to us that a school route safety program needed a new direction. And in an effort to keep our students safe, the county decided to take a more proactive stand. As I mentioned before, before the school route safety program was mostly responsive. Now we added a proactive component, which includes a prioritization methodology and a project development process. The prioritization methodology is a data-driven process. And since we are here at the Technical Advisory Committee, let's get a bit technical and dive a little into prioritization methodology and the project development. Okay, let me see. This methodology includes three main steps: determining the inventory, prioritizing the inventory, and resolving the overlap of the 2-mile attendance areas. Let's talk about the school inventory. And at this very moment, I'd like to give my candid gratitude to the MPO team for the work they do identifying needs and making available those wonderful studies. Because of their work, we were able to inventory the schools in a more efficient manner. We did that using the information from the school study done by the MPO in collaboration with Hillsborough County Public Schools. The study identified a total of 268 schools in Hillsborough County, from which 132 were screened for the school route safety program. Let's look into the prioritization. The prioritization was also based on the school scores from the MPO school safety study. The 132 schools that were screened were also listed and prioritized using their scores from the study. The lower the score, the higher the priority the school ranked. Once the schools were prioritized, they were plotted in GIS with their respective 2-mile attendance radius. The overlap areas. When the schools were plotted with their respective areas, the overlap became very clear and visible. Just imagine these three rectangles that you see on the screen. They were semi-transparent and one on top of each other. It will become a big colorful dot, right? The issue could have caused to account for walking routes more than once. What is the reason this overlap happens? Well, this happens because elementary schools feed middle schools and middle schools feed high schools, so they have the same areas. How did we resolve this overlap? We used a prioritized list and identified each school as primary or secondary. Primary schools are those with higher priority, and the secondary schools are those which the 2-mile attendance radius is overlapped by the primary school as much as 85% or more. Once the primary and secondary schools are identified with the 85% or more overlap, the secondary schools are stacked to the primary and is called tag along. The tag along are grouped with the primary school, of course, to be studied together for improvements as one project. Using this technique gives us three main advantages. First, eliminates double or triple counting of areas when creating projects for individual schools. Second, during planning, shared routes are identified. Therefore, this can be improved. These can be improved at the same time to benefit more than one school. And third, This way, the available dollars are stretched and better used. The project will benefit more than one school. This means less dollars are needed to be planned than if we were to address one school at a time. The next step is to determine what kind of improvements are needed for each school or group of schools. This is the project development process. We took the first 3 schools on the prioritized list and worked on creating the development process. These schools included 2 primary and 1 tag-along. The 2 primary ones were Pierce Middle and Little High. Pierce Middle was ranked number 1 in our prioritized list, and Little High was ranked number 2. Then the third school, the tag-along, was Alexander Elementary, which tag-along with Pierce. These 3 schools are less than a mile from each other, and both Little and Pierce areas overlap Alexander by 100%. This is a very densely populated area and with a large number of students walking and rolling to school, which was a perfect opportunity to carry the implementation of this new process. Now, the project development process took more steps, and as you can see them, I'm not going to go through each element, but you can look in the slide, and let's move to the next one. So to start the project development process, the first step was the desktop analysis that consists of collecting and analyzing GIS and field data. The available data is analyzed in GIS to identify the shortest routes and approximate potential number of students using those same routes. The field review main goal is to identify the routes students actually take and how many students are using them. The GIS and the field data are analyzed together to determine routes with high, moderate, and low demand. In this slide, we can see the high and moderate demand routes. The red lines show high demand routes, and the blue lines show the moderate demand routes. Then this other slide shows routes that serve 1 or more than 1 school. Blue lines are routes that serve 1 school. Green lines are routes that serve 2 schools, and purple lines are routes that serve 3 schools. After the routes are identified and categorized, it is time to put on get more ideas from our stakeholders. To accomplish this, we created an advisory committee for each school. This committee is formed of at least 1 member representing each of the various community groups, and you can see the various community groups that can form this advisory committee in the slide currently shown. And for our first 3 schools, the committee included school districts, school staff, PTA, sheriff's office, Cross Guard program, Carter, Stompers, Hillsborough County Public Works, and our consultant support. This step is critical because the community members who serve these areas have a very depth knowledge of the issues which we needed to know to create a better project. For our first trial of the process with the top 3 schools, we held 2 meetings for each school. The first meeting was held was held separately, and it was virtual for each school. At this meeting, we shared findings and received input and recommendations from the advisory committee. However, the second meeting was combined, even though it was also virtual, was combined for all 3 schools. We provided updated information and got concurrence and additional input from the committee for the high and moderate demand routes, the overlapping routes, and the preliminary proposed improvements. After the last advisory committee, a comprehensive field review is performed on the identified routes with the participation of various engineering disciplines from county and consultant. The goal of this comprehensive field review is to identify safety needs and locations and also to recommend specific improvements. Those recommended improvements are grouped into 3 tiers. Tier 1 are low complexity, easy to implement improvements that could be done in less than a year. Please note with this that the timelines I'm providing are based on funds being readily available for the project. If no funding is available, additional time will need to be added accordingly. Tier 2 improvements are of moderate complexity with minor coordination and require some level of design. These can take up to 3 years. Tier 3 improvements are of high complexity with major coordination and impacts on utilities, drainage, right-of-way, etc., and require major design as well. These will take more than 3 years. Oh man, I was behind. Sorry. After all this work is done, we are ready for the community engagement phase 2 for our first 3 schools. This was done virtually as well, and it was last December. The main goal for this outreach is to include the entire community, the residents, schools, parents, and community groups. At this event, we share and inform about the proposed improvements and also inquire for additional input on the ongoing project. As you can see, this flow chart shows a summary of the different stages it takes to implement this new part of the school route safety program. We already went through what we have done up to date. Now, where are we right now? Right now, I'm behind. Okay. Right now, we are, ACOM is developing Tier 1, 2, and 3 preliminary plans and cost estimate along with a feasibility report. And this is for the 3 schools, as I mentioned. All of these tasks are expected to be finalized by mid-April. The county is also preparing to implement Tier 1 improvements this coming summer. And currently, we are pursuing funding for Tier 2 and 3 improvements. What's next? Since we now have established guide, the county is going to repeat the process with the next schools on the prioritized list. And they are, as you can see, King High and Robles. Those are grouped. They are grouped like a primary and the tag along. So King High and Robles Elementary, Guider High and Cladewell, and Brandon High and Limona Elementary. For those of you who have good memory and were not sleeping when I started the presentation, do you remember the question I asked at the beginning of the presentation? For those who don't remember, the question was, what is going to take to keep children safe when they walk or roll to school along Hillsborough County roads? We know now it is going to take a lot of effort, right? From everyone that is involved. But I hope you agree with me when I share this quote from George Goldtrap, that I am not afraid of tomorrow. I have seen yesterday, and I am in love with today. With this, I end the presentation and open the floor for any questions, and thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Diana?
Hey, Diana, this is Matt Pleasant with the school district. Great presentation. And just want to say we really appreciate being able to work with you on this, and look forward to the next cycle of schools. This first round kind of predated my time with the district, but I look forward to being able to take part and help support the next round. I guess my question would be is, for the next round of schools, is there anything that you think you do anything differently, or did you learn anything that you're going to apply in this next round?
Oh, we learn a lot. I think the first round was a very enlightful one, and we learned and we corrected. We made mistakes and we corrected. And at this time, we are going to apply a more experienced process. And since we already have the methodology, the prioritization done, now we just have to go into following the process for the schools. I think the major learning curve here was the involvement with the community. It's very important to involve the community from the onset, and we did it. But now that the community has a better idea of what we're doing, and you were so helpful, you and Amber were instrumental in the help. Thank you so much. I think we're gonna get more help from the set from the Go Star.
Okay, any other questions for Dinah? Okay, well, I appreciate it, Diana, and it's really interesting to see how much work went into those studies. So, you know, looking forward to hearing updates and wish you success going forward on the future projects also. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next up is the Salmon Expressway Pd E updates.
Good afternoon. This is Anna Quinones. I'm a project manager with the planning department at the Tampa Hillsborough Expressway Authority. And I'm just going to go over some of our Pd E study updates. That's project development and environment. And I'm going to do a little bit more emphasis on our South Salmon study. You can go to the next slide. Just a quick note that salmonstudies.com is a website that has basic information for all 4 of the studies that we have going on currently. Timelines, project maps, and just a few general bits of information. Next slide. Okay. So for our South Salmon Pd E, we had our public hearing February 25th. That was last Thursday. We did it at the convention center. We did not do a hybrid, however, which basically just meant that we didn't stream it at the same time that we had it. However, the presentation was pre-recorded and was actually posted on our website about a week before. That website, there's a study-specific website, southsalmonpde.com. So we have all of our draft reports and resources up there. It's set up really well. It's really easy to kind of step through the process that we've gone through for that. You can submit comments and questions via the website as well, and you have until March 8th. That's the end of the public comment period. You can go to the next slide. So just a bit of background, how we got to our preferred alternative. We started out, we had 5 preliminary alternatives that were developed based on the purpose and need for the project, with an understanding of the existing conditions and constraints along the corridor. The alternatives were developed to limit the need to expand outside of the existing right-of-way and impact adjacent neighborhoods and CSX railroad while while maintaining the same access at existing ramp locations. So you can see here we had 3 alternatives that included elevated lanes. Those were eliminated relatively early on based on a combination of the traffic analysis and costs. We had alternative 1 and 2. Alternative 1 had an interim and ultimate phase. However, that one was eliminated because it would require a demolition of interim improvements, and we'd have to spend a lot more on reconstruction for the ultimate phase. So that one was basically developed into our alternative 6, which replaced it. So then we evaluated alternative 2, which was just a straight go ahead to 4 lanes, and then we have an alternative 6, which also has an interim and ultimate phase. Next slide. So quick note on the preferred alternative, that will add a 3rd lane in each direction for a total of 6 lanes in the interim configuration. The ultimate build out will be 4 lanes in each direction. And this interim ultimate configuration phasing allows us to add the capacity that is needed when it is needed. And we're looking at a timeline of about 2033 of when that ultimate configuration is estimated to be needed. The preferred alternative also requires the least amount of reconstruction for the ultimate condition. Next slide. Thanks. So here's a quick look at the typical sections. For the interim, we're widening to the outside. It's 9 feet on each side, and that is still within our right-of-way. It doesn't actually go into anybody's yard or to the CSX rail line. And we'll be constructing walls along the entire length of the project on both sides. The ultimate configuration would widen to the inside. Next slide. Some of the highlights. So the noise study indicated that noise walls were only warranted at a couple of locations. We have committed to building walls along the entire length of the project. We designed pedestrian safety improvements adjacent to the off-ramps to support the City of Tampa's Vision Zero goals. And we plan to add underpass aesthetic treatments to underpasses where we have not already constructed those. And as some of you may know, we have, several locations where we do have underpass aesthetic treatments. Swan underpass. We also did the Morrison Gateway recently. So it's just kind of a continuation of the program that we already have implemented for that. Let's see, next slide. I think the next slide, okay, so the next slide just jumps into the whiting. So yeah, again, I just want to emphasize for the South Salmon Pd E that the comment period is still open until March 8th, and definitely go check out the website that we have put together. There's tons of information on there. There's renderings, there's bird's eye view plans. It's full of info. And if you have any questions, we do actually read them and go through them and answer them, try to answer them in a timely manner. Okay, so the other study, one of the other studies that we have going on is the Whiting Street Pd E Study. This shows the project area map. So this is located in downtown here. This one is evaluating the reconfiguration of ramp 6A and relocation of 6B. Those ramps are the ones toward the southwest of this project area. So it's the loop around. The 6A ramp that loops around onto Florida will continue to, but it will be reconfigured. And then the 6B that currently exits onto Channelside and Morgan will be relocated to exit onto Whiting. And Whiting and Washington will be brought through to connect to Meridian as part of this project. For this one, we're looking at doing a public workshop, alternatives workshop in mid to late spring. So keep an eye out for that. We'll we're committee members, so we'll, keep everybody informed of when that'll be. Give you some updates on that. Next slide. And we have our East Salmon Pd E study. That one goes from I-75 in the east over to downtown in the west. And this one is basically moving from east to west. Interestingly, with this project, it's kind of, the Pd E was kind of set up in phases. And one of the first things that we looked at was the reversible express lanes slip ramps. Basically, we looked at being able to add a slip ramp so you could access the REL over by Falkenberg and then exit over by the I-4 connector, which would basically allow you to finish your trip on the Salmon without having to exit on Meridian in downtown if that is not your final destination. So that also allows us to utilize the capacity that we already have. So that project will likely push out future capacity improvements later on into the future as well. And this one, we are looking at a alternatives public workshop midsummer or maybe early summer for that one. And for the REL slip ramps, the design build project is in the procurement process right now. Next slide. And we have our Nebraska Pd E Study. This one is likely going to be a non-major state action, so we probably won't need to go through the entire Pd E process for this. This is looking mostly at operational improvements along Nebraska to Cass, including part of Cass. This is really concentrating on that movement from the right turn from Twiggs onto Nebraska and improving just the operation over there. And that one is still really early in the process, so I'm not entirely sure when we're going to have our alternatives meeting for that one yet. I know it says something on the website, but I can give an update as to that timeline in the future as well. So I think that actually brings us to the end of my presentation. I know I kind of ran through a lot of this pretty quickly, but if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Okay, Anna, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the committee? Okay, well, I'll give you another minute or so in case we have questions. It's interesting. I know our office has been paying a lot of attention to your plans heading south on the Salmon, and I understand, I see where you're having to expand out with your long-term plans, but I definitely, from our side, we like that you are using the inner area of your right-of-way where possible to, lessen any encroachment towards the neighborhoods, especially in the Palmacia, Bayshore Gardens areas, and certainly the addition of the noise walls, primarily for noise, but also maybe a little bit with some of the particulate and so forth from the emissions of the vehicles is a positive step. So that was interesting and kind of a pleasant thing to see as part of the project from our side. Okay, do we have any questions or comments? Going once? Twice? I knew somebody would pop up.
I think he disappeared again.
It was a tease.
He's our next presenter.
I was trying to think myself. I didn't know you were covering discussions onto the east. You really covered a lot of area. So those are some new projects I wasn't aware of, but certainly I know you guys are always involved in a lot of various projects with the Expressway, and I know the Gandy build. I guess maybe I hate to go off topic, but how's the Gandy build out going? It seems like it's progressing quickly.
Oh yeah, we're set to open in April. That'll be open to traffic in April, mid-April. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. All right, last chance, any questions? With that, I think we will say thank you, and we will move on to our final presentation of the day.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. All right, the last one up is the Port Tampa Bay study.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me fine?
Yes, I can.
All right, fantastic. Well, yeah, my name is Matt Floyd. I am the Government Relations and Special Projects Manager at Port Tampa Bay. And I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what we do, what we have currently, and some slides of where we plan to go over the next couple of years and into the future. So let's see. There we go. So of Florida's 14 deep water seaports, Port Tampa Bay is the largest and the most diverse of the ports. We have an economic impact of roughly $18 billion, responsible for 80 to 85,000 direct and indirect jobs. Anything you could possibly think of that could come through a port, it probably comes through Port Tampa Bay, including fuel and fertilizer products, cement, wood, lumber, container products like furniture. We even bring in some fruits and juices and vegetables as well. And so we're extremely diverse, and that's something that we're very proud of. So the Port Tampa Bay, our main market that we serve is the 17 counties in the middle of the state, West Central Florida region. And what's really driving our customer base is the 300 distribution centers that are popping up along the I-4 corridor, the large explosion of growth from a population and visitors every single year along the I-4 corridor has allowed us to really serve a market directly to the consumers. think of companies like Amazon and such that want to deliver product directly to their customers as soon as possible. Today, if you have Amazon Prime, you could order a product now and probably get it on your doorstep tomorrow. That's because it's coming in through Port Tampa Bay. It's going to these distribution centers, which are right next to you. So being so close to this growing market allows us to quickly and cheaply serve customers as well. Port Tampa Bay, as I said, is the largest of the ports in Florida. We cover about 5,000 acres. So this slide here just gives you an idea of the size of the port. If you see the channel here, I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor, but the channel, the green line going through the water here, this is our channel. This is a 41-mile long channel. It's the longest in the state. And so we have to maintain that and control that as well. The areas in red are private property, but are still considered Port Tampa Bay, under Port Tampa Bay scope. The yellow are Port Tampa Bay properties, and these are usually, there's usually tenants sitting on that property currently. And what you don't see down here is, you can kind of see it on the larger map over here. Again, I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor or not, but we have several different, we have Port Red Wing, which is down in South County, which is a booming part of the port as well. That's where Mosaic and Tico, Ardent Mills is going in down there. So Port Tampa Bay really is fortunate to have a lot of space to grow and expand that other ports do not have. They don't have that luxury. Port Tampa Bay supplies about 47% of the state's fuel. Makes us very, very important come times of hurricanes. You may have remember, over the last few years, hurricanes come through, shut down all the roads, and there's a lot of fuel scarcity. We had 13 fuel vessels sitting out in the bay waiting for the hurricane to pass by to come in and offload fuel to then be shipped all throughout the state. So Port Tampa Bay is very important in making sure the state stays fueled. We have dedicated pipelines between Port Tampa Bay to Tampa International Airport, as well as out to Orlando's International Airport and other entities in Orlando as well. We have this REK facility, which is very neat and unique. It has any one of the vessels, the fuel vessels can park at a berth, and they can dispense fuel into this complex system of pipelines that will then go off to all of the different tenants and different tanks that might hold the fuel before going off into gas stations, into the airport and such of that. We're very proud to be known as the energy gateway for the state of Florida as well. Port Tampa Bay's biggest, put its name on the map, I guess you could say, by its exportations of fertilizer, dating way back to the early 1900s and or even earlier. Port Tampa Bay did quite a bit of exportation of fertilizer and agriculture products. Again, Ardent Mills is a big tenant of ours. They're moving from the downtown Tampa area down to Port Red Wing, something we're very excited about. They've got a massive facility down there that's expanding drastically. Sorry, that's my son in the background. Port Tampa Bay also is one of the leaders for bringing in construction and building products in the state. We've got, again, the explosion of growth in Tampa Bay is fueling a lot of that, importations of lumber and steel and the such like that. We even have a tenant that brings in concrete and sand from Egypt, so it's pretty unique company. We're the largest shipbuilding and repair center between Pascagoula, Mississippi, and Norfolk, Virginia. We've got 4 shipbuilding and shipyards that are building ships and repairing ships. These are private vessels. They could be Navy vessels. They could be Coast Guard vessels. Anytime you go out and you can see the port channel, you'll see some ships out there being repaired as well. We're a top 10 U.S. cruise port. Prior to COVID, we were bringing in and helping over 1 million passengers experience a vacation every single year. That was an area that was continuing to grow, and unfortunately, due to COVID, it's kind of, it's obviously come to a standstill, and we expect those to return later this year, hopefully by early fall. Port Tampa Bay also is very serious about taking and considering the environment and our impacts to the environment. We were the first port in the state to have a dedicated environmental affairs department and environmental director. We are the first port in the nation to be deemed storm ready by the National Weather Service as well. And there's all kinds of mitigation projects that we do throughout the Bay Area to help offset any impacts we might have on the water and the channel and the bay as well. You might see these two islands out in the bay. These are on a Port Tampa Bay property that kind of look a little overgrown and brush and stuff, but that is those are two spoil islands. So when we maintain the channel, when we send out the dredgers and they go and they scoop up the sand and the silt down at the bottom of the channel, they have to put it somewhere. So rather than dumping it off on some land or somewhere else, they go and they dump them into these spoil islands, which then dry out and they can be reused for building new land, which we have done in the past, as well as it becomes a national, globally significant nesting population for birds. So that's something we're very proud of. We actually do our maintenance dredging around the nesting season. The one area that's actually growing the most for Port Tampa Bay, and this is where we're most excited to see our greatest amount of growth over the next decade even, is in container services. So back in 2016, we received these first two large white gantry cranes you see on the screen here. These cranes allow us to service and work these larger post-Panamax ships that are now coming into Port Tampa Bay. As you can see here, these ships on the screen, they can hold anywhere between 8,000 to 10,000 containers on them. And this is really where the world commerce is going. So Amazon is shipping on these, Home Depot is shipping on these containers. Furniture, anything you could think of can actually go through a container. So this is an area that we're drastically growing in and have a lot of plans, which I'll show you here in a second, to continue our growth in. Recently, we underwent a container terminal expansion. So as you can see on the screen here, where the containers are stored, off to the left side, that's a new 19-acre plot of land that we can now use for increased container storage. To the right side, and it's kind of hard to see it here, but we've expanded that as well. You'll be able to see it in an upcoming slide. But this allows us to go up to almost 100 acres of storage land for containers. This is a screen of the Executive Shippers Council. So these are all companies that do ship in through the port container services. So I'm sure you know many of these companies. This is a slide here that shows the lines of container commerce. So these are coming direct from Asia. They're picking up containers in Southeast Asia, China, Vietnam, and then they're coming in through the Panama Canal up into the channel and making stops in Houston, making stops in New Orleans, Mobile, and then Tampa before returning back to Southeast Asia to pick up more products. They're dropping off and picking up containers in all of the ports that they go into in the Gulf of Mexico, including Tampa Bay. So we're also, obviously exporting product back to Southeast Asia as well. Not a lot, but we do some exports. We're also focusing heavily on our north and south trade lines between South America and into Tampa as well. Those are a lot of that's going to be your juices and your fruits and vegetables. And what's really great is we used to be doing this by rail. So they would go up into Texas through Alabama and, all the way into Florida and then down into Central Florida. But now we're able to take these ships north and south or straight across from Mexico, which drastically reduces the amount of the shipping time and therefore reducing the cost for customers and the consumers. This is just another slide of showing the different lines and the directions that these ships are moving. And this is what we hope to be here over the next couple of years and continue to grow. We want to be able to not only just have a reach into West Central Florida, impacting the markets in Central Florida, somewhat in South Florida, and also into North Florida, but we also want to go beyond. So we want to, expand our capabilities to have a container come into the port, get on a truck, and then take it up to Atlanta or take it up to Charlotte, up into the Midwest, or hop on a rail car and take a train to the Midwest. And this is what we wanted. This is who we really want to be. We really want to expand our influence on the region, the Southeast America, and we'll continue to do that. One great thing about these ships coming into Tampa Bay rather than a distant port is historically they would go into a port, say Savannah or Charleston, a distant port outside of the state of Florida, and these containers would get put on a truck and they'd get trucked down into the state and then down into the Central Florida region. Now that takes a lot of trucks, it takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of emissions with all these trucks on the road. By coming into Tampa Bay, not only does it reduce the number of trucks that now have to be delivering product to Central Florida because it's a shorter distance, but a single truck can make multiple trips in a day. It's safer because there's less trucks on the road now. And also it reduces the amount of emissions, less trucks on the road, less emissions going out there. And it saves the consumers and the customers on average $800 per container coming in through Port Tampa Bay versus a distant port. So that's something we're very proud of and really focusing on our growth over the next decade and beyond. The refrigerated services is another area of extreme growth that we've experienced over the last couple of years and we'll continue to see more growth out of going forward. This is a state-of-the-art facility which imports fruits, juices, vegetables. We had Chiquita and not too long ago bringing in bananas again from South America. It's a great thing. This has a really state-of-the-art CBP ag inspection facility as well, which is especially important now in the life after COVID. That every container bringing in these products will go through the CBP customer border protection facility to be checked for foreign bugs, foreign viruses, all the above, and make sure it's a clean product before being passed on to grocery stores and the like. So now this is the Hooker's Point. This is the end of Hooker's Point where the container berths are. So as I mentioned earlier, as you can see here, this is a little outdated. The proposed 30 acres is actually now open down here in the south end. And then also we opened up here at berth 210 an additional storage area as well for containers. So now we have a full 97 acres of storage space. It really allows us to expand our container growth. We plan to bring in 4 to 6 more of the large white gantry cranes as I showed you earlier. This will allow us to service more ships more efficiently as well. Right now, 3 ships come in a week, and we hope to, obviously have more ships coming in for more product, and therefore we need more cranes to service them at the same time. And then as you can see as well, we have a proposed transload warehouse facility. So this is a big part of our master plan. This facility would allow us to easily transfer a container from a ship to a truck or from a ship to a rail. It allows a container to be unloaded, taking the product out of the container and then easily repackaged back into a new container to go to its end location. The transload facility will drastically increase our efficiencies and our ability to get product off ships fast and directly to the distribution centers to then go off to the restaurant, the grocery stores and other the other stores that they need to go to. And that's all I've got for now. I'm happy to answer any questions. I might have ran through that pretty quickly, but there's a lot of information and I wanted to get it out there. But I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Okay, very, very comprehensive, Matt. Appreciate the update on the port. I know our agency from the environmental side has a very strong ties with a lot of your activities that go on there on the manufacturing side. So I'm familiar with a lot of the changes from my compliance days. So interesting to see where you're headed. Do we have any comments from the committee? No one? Matt, I have one question on your container expansion. I see I saw that area marked proposed the proposed 30 that you said is now developed. I recall that being pretty much undeveloped land in the past. So that's finally been utilized. It's been a few years since I've been into the port, but your new expansion towards the center, is that going to be displacing any current tenants?
No, it's actually wide open space as well. It's, if you've ever been on Hooker's Point, there's the city's water facility, and then directly south of that is all just open space, so that we won't be moving any tenants for that particular spot, and which allows us to easily make that happen. But we do have a history of we work with our tenants, and if it makes more sense for both parties to relocate them on the property, we've had a lot of success with tenants of working with us to shift over to a different site that helps them while also helping us, and maybe another tenant expanding or bringing in another tenant as well. But that particular one, no, we won't. We fortunately will not have to displace any current tenant.
Okay, very good. On the transportation side, or at least I hadn't heard of an update lately, but I believe that they were going to be looking into promoting some more electric vehicle charging along portions of the port. Do you know of any updates on that, or possibly?
I'm not of anything specific, no, but I do know in this time of COVID and that we've made several significant changes, or we've been able to plan to make several significant changes regarding that. We do plan to increase the electric vehicles that we have in our Port Tampa Bay fleet, and as you're saying, add a station, a couple stations throughout the property as well. We already have a lot of, the gantry cranes are actually electric. As well. They're not gas powered like many other across the country. They're electric, so that's something that's pretty neat, actually. But yeah, COVID has allowed us to rethink a lot of our strategy regarding electric vehicles and electrification as well.
Okay, yeah, that's outstanding to hear, because I don't want to go on and on from my side, but the on the environmental side, I mean, and you look geographically at how the port is such a central part of the county. And so when you have a problem or emissions and so forth, they can expand outward. It kind of affects, no matter which way the wind's blowing, it can almost affect somebody. So when they take on these projects, and like you talked about, I remembered hearing about the cranes being electric, and I mean, that's not really something people think much of, but that's, if you think of a diesel engine chugging away for as much time as those cranes will be running, that's a big difference over time. So any kind of projects like that are certainly encouraged, and I know you guys have made strides and improvements and policies and so forth. So we're certainly endorse that. But on the transportation side, it's I know that there was a big improvement when the Expressway opened with the bypass over Ivr. I'm sure that was a big help for you guys. And so I don't know if there's any other questions that the people more knowledgeable from me from the transportation side has for you, but you certainly were comprehensive in your future plans. So
thank you.
So with that, any other comments? This was last chance.
Hey, this is Nicole. I actually had one comment / question. Thank you for your presentation. It was very helpful, very informative, but I was actually wondering if you guys did any projections about how your 5-year plan would impact traffic within the Tampa Bay area.
Impact traffic, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure we do. I don't know that data off the top of my head, but as Jeff mentioned, the Salmon Expressway was extremely helpful. The Salmon on-ramp, on and off ramp, the dedicated lane that happened, I believe it was 2015, 2016. Those additions like that really help us quite a bit to allow a truck to go from the port to its end destination without hitting any red lights, trying to reduce the traffic. But the thing is as I mentioned, with containers coming into the port, we're taking trucks off the road, in a way. preventing them from coming in from foreign ports into the area, rather than from, you know, being at Port Tampa Bay. It's much quicker and easier, and less trucks need to be happen. But you know, I don't have any data specifically on the top of my head or with me here, but I do know that we do track that information as a whole.
Thank you.
All right, I appreciate it, Matt. I think that sums it up for us. So we have reached the end of scheduled reports. Next up is any old business or new business that anyone wants to bring up. Okay, hearing none. I think, I don't know the date of the next meeting. I believe it's generally the first Monday of the month now.
April 5th.
April 5th. Okay, so get all your April Fool's jokes out of the way before the meeting, and we should be meeting on that day. So hearing no other comments or questions, I believe this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.